What is going on, everybody? How are you doing? My name is George Anderson with REI Branded Home Buyer, coming at you with some more information about houses. If you want to go check us out at our website, you can go to reibrandedhomebuyer.com, or maybe even give us a phone call at 509-769-3439. Water and houses don't mix. It just doesn't at all. I have four very large fish tanks in this room right here, and there's a lot of moisture in the air. There's 75 gallons apiece. I got to run a dehumidifier every once in a while to make sure that there's no, we call it biomass on the windows or anything like that. So I come through and I clean up all that stuff all the time. And my mentor used to call it biomass. Really, it's mold. And black mold is very dangerous and it can make you sick. So that is a very common mold that grows in houses. It's all around us all the time. We're always breathing it in, but when it's when it's when there's a lot of it around, you can get really, really sick. Now, when you have, you know, cracks in your foundation, if you have roof leaks, or maybe a drain pipe from the outside, your gutters are like just, letting water off next to your house and there's no drainage field away from it, that could be a huge problem. Also, if there is a issue with your drain pipes inside the house, or maybe your supply lines. Your supply lines being the clean water that's coming in. So you got your potable and non-potable water. Your non-potable water is what's going out into the sewer, and that is the water that is really, really, really going to make you sick, especially if it's getting out and getting into your dry area spaces between your subfloor and your ceiling. If you have a two-story house or something like that, you're going to see like a discoloration inside your ceiling. Maybe it's running down the wall. Maybe the paint is starting to bubble, whatnot. You're gonna see major issues there. A lot of people don't see them in time, and maybe it's like a very small leak. Even if it's a small leak, it could be drying out every once in a while, but you're going to still see a lot of mold growing in that area, and that's what's going to be making you really sick. Again, we call that biomass, but it's mold. So if you have a problem with this, you want to get on top of it as fast as possible. The hardest ones to really spot are the ones that are inside the walls, and your water, your supply lines, your drain lines. You can see those usually because those drain lines are not cemented together when they're underneath the sink. They're using those little lock nuts. And what happens sometimes, I've noticed, and I've been a handyman for a very long time of my life, when you're putting boxes underneath your kitchen sink, what happens is you're actually hitting that wing nut just a little bit every once in a while. You might not do it every single time, but over the years, if you don't sit there and retighten them every once in a while and they're getting knocked, they're going to start leaking underneath your sink. And that's the most common area where you're going to see leaks is underneath that sink. Yes, you're going to see issues underneath a shower or something like that, if a weld breaks underneath, on the ABS pipes or something like that. But mainly underneath sinks is where you're going to really see the issues, because people put stuff under there and they don't notice that they're hitting those lock nuts. And I always recommend everybody just every once in a while go around your house and just tighten them up just a little bit. Just go under there and tighten them up. Righty tighty, lefty loosey. It's not hard. And that little type of maintenance is going to save you a huge headache. Also, if you're gonna, as you can tell, I'm actually in my daylight basement right here. There is actually a shelf right here, and underneath there is where all mainly where the main foundation is. And sometimes when there's a crack in that foundation behind the drywall, you're going to see a discoloration at the very base of it, and trim might start bubbling up, especially if it's MDF or something like that. It soaks up water really fast. So just every once in a while, just go around your house and kind of, check that out. Go around, make sure that there's, especially after a really heavy rain, like just what happened last night. We had a huge windstorm here in Spokane, and I heard the gusts were getting up to like 100 and something miles an hour. I don't know exactly how many miles an hour they were, but I know there were a lot of trees down, and there was a lot of rain too. So, and I actually found a couple boxes from my trash in my backyard, and so they really went flying. And during rainstorms like that, you want to get up and look around the corners, around the all the corner seams of all the drywall. Make sure that you're not having any discoloration, because again, if there's moisture inside the ceiling, you're gonna start seeing mold within. I mean, I don't know really fast how it grows, but it grows pretty fast. So take care of that, and it'll make you sick too if you don't take care of that. And putting bleach on it really doesn't help all at all either. You want to go to the Home Depot and get that mold killer. It's a mold armor is what it's called over at Home Depot, and spray that. It really stinks, but I would rather have that. And you can put a mask on when you're spraying that stuff. Always wear gloves when you're spraying that stuff too. You don't want it on your hands, because, you know, if you're playing with your face or something like that, it's gonna, like I do, I play with my beard a lot. You're going to get it on your face, and you don't want that. So whenever I'm using chemicals, I always put gloves on, little vinyl or poly gloves or something like that. They sell those over right next to that aisle also for that mold armor. Check your windows and make sure that there's no water coming in from the windows, just in case there's a seal that's broken on your windows. And then also you want to check around your front and back doors, because there's going to be some water that might be coming in if you don't have any weather stripping on the door. If this is something that you do not want to take care of, maybe there's something that's happened at your house, within the last couple of years, and say nothing, nobody lived there. Maybe there was some water damage or something like that. I didn't walk in. The door opened, and I told everybody I'm not walking into that house. There was mold all over the walls. The ceiling fan was actually hanging and drooping so bad that, because there was so much moisture in the air and so much mold on it, the weight alone pulled the fan blades down. I've also seen houses where people go on vacation. I've been in construction a very, very long time, folks. They went to Hawaii. These people went to Hawaii, and they came back, and their refrigerator line touched the refrigerator itself. On the back is the compressor, and it got really hot, and it actually burned a hole in that poly line, and it just burst open, just completely just burst open, and water went flying everywhere for 2 weeks while they were in Hawaii. I mean, I'm talking a foot of water inside their basement. And these things are accidents. Accidents happen all the time. But again, if you don't catch them fast enough, you're gonna have to go through, and you're gonna have to cut like 2 feet above the ground all the way around your whole entire house. And you're gonna have to replace all of that drywall, all of the flooring, all of the trim, all of the mud, all of the paint, everything that is going on in that area. And a lot of people, when they're pulling off the drywall, they don't remember to take off all of the electrical plates, and they start breaking those too. Then you have to replace those. There's a lot of work that goes into this when it comes to insurance on a property that has water damage. And say if you're not even there for years, water damage can do massive amounts of damage to the house when it comes to mold. And then you have to have whole suits. People wear all, full Tyvek suits, full respirators, even to go into the house. And, it happens more often than you think. And I'm in Washington, and as you know, Washington is a very green state. it rains a lot here. So there's going to be a lot of moisture in the area, especially in Seattle. I'm over here in Spokane, but you're going to see a lot of just water issues around the whole entire state. Yes, it happens all across America, but especially here. And like I said, if you find yourself in that situation, my company, REI Branded Home Buyer, specializes in coming over and then giving you an offer on your house. Say you just don't want to deal with it anymore. You're like, I am done with this house. I don't want to deal with it. I don't want to look at it. I've had enough. I am sick of it. Give us a call at 509-769-3439, and we'll come over and we'll give you a cash offer on your property here in Spokane. We are going to do our best to help you out. We'll give you the best advice we can. Now, I want to make sure that everybody knows that we're not real estate agents, we're not lawyers, we're not real estate consultants of any kind. We're just people that buy houses, and we know how much it costs to do this type of work, how long it takes to do this type of work. I mean, some people are displaced from their houses for months after a water damage that happens in their house. And if you find yourself in this situation, again, just go to reibrandedhomebuyer.com and just look at some of our blogs that we have on there and give us a call. Like I said, we can come out and we'll take a look at your property, say, hey, maybe it's best just to stick with it. We'll give you the best, positive advice that we can, or what we would do in that situation, right? We would just what we would do. And some of us are able to do that, some of us aren't. I've been doing this for quite a while. I've been fixing up houses for a long time, so I know what it takes to do this. In fact, my dad, he made us move into our first house as when we weren't renting anymore, and we were renovating it while we were living there when I was 11 years old. And that right there, no, I was 12. Sorry. I want to be 100% factual here. I was 12 years old when we moved into this place, and it was just dust everywhere, and everybody was displaced. There was 5 kids in the house, plus my parents, and dust, and everybody's trying to do their dishes in a laundry sink, and then we had a picnic table, one of the fold-out picnic tables, and so we were able to do that at the time. Well, mainly because we had to, and my dad didn't really mind going through that, going through all that stuff, and we kind of had to. The kids did, and if you see the house now, the house is beautiful, but again, there's a lot of people are just not built for that. So again, if you want, just give us a call, reach out, and we'll come over and maybe give you a game plan and help you out that way, or give it, tell you what we would do in that situation. So I'm starting to ramble on. This video is getting really long, and I know that when you have water damage to the house and you have your walls cut out and stuff like that, it's just no fun. So like I said, I've worked with my dad in construction for years, and I did that to many people's houses, and I saw the frustration and the anguish in people's faces when we went in, and kids can see each other through the walls, or their rooms are right next to each other, so we're cutting the wall. We're cutting the wall on both sides of the wall, and they could see each other, and they'd rather just live in a hotel or something like that while the house was fixed. So, like I said, it could go for weeks to months. Who knows? It depends on how big the house is, how big the job is. But water damage is a huge thing. I really, really hope none of these fish tanks break. My wife would not be happy, and really hope that you find these videos that I'm putting out extremely helpful. Again, just give us a call, and we'll give you the best, what we would do in that situation. Or and try to help you out. So it's all about game plans when it comes to this kind of stuff, right? All right, folks. Well, I'm going to get out of here. This video went 15 minutes. I actually didn't think it was going to go 15 minutes, but it did. So, again, George from REI Branded Home Buyer over here in Spokane. We buy houses in Spokane, all over Washington. And have a great day. Thank you for being here. Bye-bye.